Hello and welcome to SK Live. You're watching SK Live. I'm your host, Shalini Sudana, and today we have Saurav Ghosal, who is India's champion in scotch. A very warm welcome to you.
Thanks a lot for having me today. Cheers.
Cheers to you too. How's it going? Good to see you here.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think things are slightly better because I can get back on a squash court now. Wasn't the case
Okay.
in the first few months of lockdown, so that was bad. But things are better. But it's still we still have a long way to go before we get back to some sort of normalcy. So yeah.
Yeah. So, is the squash court safe for you to, play?
It's just myself and Ramit Tandon, who's top three in India. It's just both of us playing, so it's almost like a self-imposed squash bubble that we have created between ourselves. We're kind of quite paranoid, both of us. Like we don't even like shut the door properly so that we can open it with our shoes. We use our rackets
Oh,
to switch the lights on. So yeah, so we're doing everything we can to minimize all the risk. We understand we
right.
can't eliminate it, but this is our life. This is what we do for a living. So we kind of have to take the risk at some point and train a little bit. So yeah,
Yeah, so you've also taken up anchoring your show, the final.
the finish
So
line.
how?
Yes.
Yes, yes. So how is that COVID time sort of a thing, or?
I think, look, I've always wanted to, speak to different sports people to understand, their mindset and their psyche in big moments, and to understand the mechanisms that they use to get over those big moments. Because being an athlete, I think we can understand that it's not the easiest thing in the world. I think everyone makes it look very easy, but it isn't. And I think I've had a lot of conversations one on one with a lot of these athletes myself. And with regards to doing the show, I think putting it into like a public domain almost, I think that happened because, like I said, in the first few months of lockdown, I didn't have access to a squash court. So I
Yeah.
was, taking over my training by doing one session of physical stuff, but I still had another half of the day, which would normally be used by doing another session, but I had some time. And, that time kind of made me starting to think that, that I could probably put this out there because it is very inspiring, and there's so much to learn from these people and to give their stories out to all of India. So I think that's how it happened. I mean, it was just an idea. I mean, it's brilliant that we've managed to take that idea and make it into reality after a few months of a lot of work and research, and I think we've done a decent job. I'm sure there's so much more that we can do, but hopefully, the first episode dropped last week, and we have 7 more to go. And hopefully, the idea is that people watching it will realize and understand the journeys of these top athletes, and appreciate what they've achieved for the country, which is unbelievable in its own right.
And also all the best for the finish line.
Thank you very much.
And last year you were ranked number 10 in the world. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, making top 10 in the world, was a big goal of mine. I think when as a child, when you start playing, everyone wants to be world number one. That's the big goal, and that's something which is always there in your subconscious, and that's still there in my subconscious today. But then you have these small goals as you keep going along in your career. And after being top 20 for a few years, obviously the next big kind of rung in the ladder is top 10, and making that top 10 was big, not just in terms of like the performances, because you have to be consistent to be able to do that, but also mentally to almost tell yourself, more than anything, that you're good enough to be there in that select group. So I think that was important, and I think now I genuinely believe that that if I can put stuff together and execute plans and my squash the way I want to, I have it in me to go higher, and that's what we're working towards, and hopefully the work I've put in will bear fruit in the coming months.
And you are our 109th guest on SK
Wow.
Live. Yeah.
That's a
So
lot of
yeah,
guests.
SK Live is also going places with
Yeah, yeah,
the
for sure.
stories and the life that sports people are experiencing, especially during these COVID times.
Yeah, it's. I think our lives are so nomadic in a lot of ways because we travel for tournaments every
Yes.
month. I don't remember the last time I was, forget being home, being in one city for this long. I've been in
Yeah.
Kolkata now for more than 6 months. I don't think since school I've been in one city for more than like 6 weeks. So that's a big change. And it's been great. I've got a lot of time to spend with my grandmom, my dad. So it's been brilliant. But it's like you always feel the grass is green on the other side. So when the tour is on, you feel like, man, I wish I could stay in one place and sleep on my bed and live out of my wardrobe instead of my suitcase. And now the body and mind is itching to live out of a suitcase and go to hotel rooms. So that's just the human tendency, I guess. But yeah, I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
life has changed, but we all have to adapt to it.
And I think we are doing it gracefully and very carefully as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's no option, right? I mean, this is, a virus. This COVID-19 virus is unbelievable. Like, the medical fraternity can't get a handle on it, even with all the, progress that we've made as a race. We can't figure out, how exactly to the finest detail how it's getting spread and what we can
Yeah.
do to prevent it exactly. Because WHO, for example, is changing their kind of recommendations pretty much every month. So it's difficult, and it's an invisible thing. So that makes it even harder. And I think it also makes it harder that we probably have good immune systems, but we live with older people, and they are more susceptible to it. So you have that at the back of your mind as well. So it's a tough time for everyone, for sports people, for the world in general. But I think we just have to hold on and be strong and wait for that light at the end of the tunnel, and it will come. It's just a question of when and not if, and hopefully that will be sooner rather than later because life isn't great this way.
Yes, that's true. And also for younger children below 10, it is
Oh, it's
very, yeah,
yeah. It's I mean, like, of course they are susceptible, but even for them to not be able to go out, even go to
out.
school, things like
Yeah.
that. I know when I was a kid, I was like, man, why do I need to go to school? But I'm sure kids now are thinking that, man, I really wish I could go to school because
Yeah.
that kind of exposure is something where where you go meet your friends. I think we underestimate the social life that we have, what kind of part that plays in developing our lives in general, and how that makes us the people we are. And kids when they are below 10, like you said, I think those are big times for formations of their characters and the way they will grow up in life. And being cooped up in a house or in a limited space is not the
Yeah.
best thing to do. So like I said, hopefully everyone is doing well and we will come back out in the open very soon.
Fingers crossed.
Both, everything crossed.
Yeah. So you went to Arun Lal's academy to learn cricket. How did this transformation come about that you started playing squash?
So I used to do both. I started squash when I was 8, and I played cricket as well. I did both pretty seriously till I was 13, and that's when I was going into grade 9. And like I think most Indians would subscribe to class 9, 10, 11, 12 are like the most important years of your life,
Yes.
which in
Yeah.
hindsight you look back and say no, it wasn't. But at that point in
Really?
time, everything seems like the board exams are like a make or break in life and things like that. So it was getting difficult to do two sports and do the academics. So I kind of had to choose one to do seriously. I still play cricket for like the school team and things like that, but I chose squash to do seriously. And I mean, one of the reasons for that was I think it is an individual sport, and I like the fact that I control my destiny. So if I play badly, it's in my
Mm.
hands. If I play well, it's in my hands. Um, there are a lot of pros of being in a team game. The camaraderie that you form with the players and things like that. I think that is something very unique to team games, and I miss that. But what kind of irked me was some days I used to play well and the team used to lose, and I used to be really sad. Some days I used to play badly and the team used to win, and I used to be happy, but I used to still feel sad because I played badly. So I think that kind of pushed me towards an individual game. And also, I think at the very, very basic level, I felt the happiest when I was on a squash court, and I enjoyed myself the most for that. At that point in time, I was playing for like 45 minutes to an hour a day. I felt the happiest at that time, and I thought, okay, this is what's making me the happiest, so let's go for it. And that's how squash happened.
Okay. And what about cricket? Were you interested in bowling or batting?
I mean, I think when you're that young, you kind of flip flop a little bit between both.
Yeah.
I kind of did both pretty seriously. So I was a left-handed batsman, and I batted. I opened the batting as well as went down at number six as well. And I was a leg spinner in the
Okay.
bowling department. So I think it just depended where I batted, depending on how much I was bowling. So if I was bowling more, then I was batting lower down the order, and if I wasn't bowling that much, I was batting higher up the order. So so I mean, it was fun, man. I still enjoy cricket. It's a great sport. It's fun. But that wasn't meant to be for me, I guess.
Okay. So was your grandfather a major part in making you play this? Because he also headed one of the nationalized banks in Kolkata.
My grandfather and my grandmom are very, very important people in my life. I mean, they're probably the two most important people in my life that have kind of, more than sport, made me the person that I am today. I mean, always be indebted to them. My granddad, I wouldn't say is so much involved in terms of like encouraging me to play sport specifically. I think he encouraged me to do everything that he thought that I felt I was capable of doing, and I think that encouragement helped me a lot. I think in terms of sport specifically and squash specifically, I think it's my dad. He used to play before, and my dad was the one who's really kind of like been part of that sporting journey with me a lot ever since. I mean, even today, I mean, he was a recreational player, but even today, he'll look at my matches and he'll tell me things, and probably he'll tell me 10 things and I'll be like, Dad, five of those things aren't going to work at the level that I'm playing at. But yeah, five of the other things might work, and me and my team will look into it and see how we can incorporate it into our games. But I think like any sportsman, I think family is a very important backbone of a
Yeah.
sportsman's life.
Yeah.
Other than your coaching team, which is on specifically to do with the sporting bit. But I think it's important to have a strong family behind you, because you're not living a normal life in a lot of ways. It's difficult to kind of deal with it, and if your family supports you and understands you well enough, it helps a great deal in performing the best you can. So I couldn't have asked more from the side of my family anymore.
Yeah, family support is so essential, right, for a
Yeah,
sports person to build up
yeah,
and get to the maximum level of the capabilities that one
yeah,
has.
yeah.
Yeah. And so from the very start, under 19, you were India's British Junior Open under 19 squash title. How do you look back on those days?
I think like I won my first junior nationals when I was 15. So I was a bit of a late bloomer. I made three finals before that, but I ended up losing. I won my fourth final, and I think since the time I won my first junior nationals, that's when kind of my career kind of started taking off a little bit. I mean, I was always like top two or three in the country, but I was never number one. And when I won that, I started becoming number one, and that's when I really started showing
You
a
were
lot
the
more.
junior number one, though, at a
Yeah. So
point.
till I was 50, yeah. So from
Yeah.
15 onwards, I was like
Yeah.
I'm the only one ever to win like three under 19 junior titles, national titles, and winning the British Junior Open. You know, that is like the epitome of junior squash after the World Junior Championships, and everyone from India used to kind of go before that to kind of almost make up the numbers. And one of the things that I remember so clearly after I won was a lot of parents of younger kids. When I won, I was 17 at the time. A lot of parents of younger kids came to me and they were like, we can't believe you won it, but thank you so much because now we believe that an Indian can win it. As of now, until now, we never thought we could. And that for me was the biggest revelation. It's like something which is never been done. It always feels impossible, but once it's done, everyone feels like, okay, now it's possible. So now when everyone goes to the British juniors or the world juniors, Indians, they all want to win. They're not going there, okay, I want to make like second round or quarterfinals. Everyone's going there to win. And that
Right.
change in mindset is so important in changing the landscape of the sport in the country. And I mean, I'm not the only one. There are others who have done stuff with me on the girls' side as well. And I think together with the generation that we've had, starting like from 2003 2004 onwards, is the golden generation for Indian squash. And we've taken India from also rans to a highly competitive level on the world stage, and now we're doing our best to kind of take the next leap and trying to dominate and conquer the world stage. And if we can do that, I think then we would have come full circle from where we
Yeah.
started. So hopefully that'll happen in the next few years.
Yes, and you'll set an example for parents and kids who really want to go forward with the sport, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the aim, right? Like
Right.
it's not about one-offs. There's the legacy stays if there are people behind you who achieve things as well. So hopefully, everything that we achieve will give inspiration to the kids below us to make the transition from the juniors into the seniors and win big for India in the future in the big games like the Asian Games, Commonwealth Games, the World Championships. And that's the dream. So like I said, hopefully it'll happen for us.
Yeah. So tell us about your younger days in the Chennai Academy. How were they? The training days.
that was uh, that was nasty. I, I moved to Chennai when I was 15. Actually, the year after I won my first junior nationals.
Yeah.
So funnily enough, till I was 15, I was one of the laziest trainers. Like I used to like make sure that I used to never go into the club when I knew there were going to be runs and things like that in Calcutta. I just wanted to play
Right.
squash. I remember going to Chennai, and one of the major kind of focus points of the training was getting physically fit, and that was not my cup of tea to begin with. But I mean, I
Right.
can't really put my finger on it, but something clicked in my head. It was like a switch which flicked in my head, and I was like, okay, man, like you could be talented, you could not be talented, but there's no reason for you to not like work hard. And Since that day, like I think I'd be right to say that I'm one of the hardest working players. And we did a lot of brutal stuff. I was there for about 4 years till I was 19, and a lot of brutal stuff happened down there.
Like
Um,
what?
I mean, we did like like runs outside in the Chennai heat. We were doing
Oh
like
my God.
6K runs under like 30 minutes. We were 6 to 8K runs under 30 minutes. We were doing 400-meter sprint repeats. Trying to get every repeat under like 1 minute 5 seconds, and then going again. We were doing stuff on court where we were doing like 1 minute on, 1 minute off court sprints over like 20 sets. I mean, I don't even while I'm telling you all this, I'm thinking like, what was I doing? like, like I don't do that kind of stuff now. Like we do other stuff now, which is equivalent, but it's not so much impact on the body because already there's so much impact, and we have to kind of protect our bodies as much as we can. But having said
Yes.
that, that time hardened me, created my physical base, and helped me be the player I am. So there was a lot of work, but I think it paid off. Winning the British Juniors was a big thing. I think moving on from that, I won my first senior nationals as well when I was um, 18 or 19. I'm the youngest ever to do it. So I think all those things kind of got together, and that created the stuff for me. And then later on, I think I've improved my my squash game a lot more when I moved to England, and I think that's why both those things coupled together have made me the player I am today.
Yes, why do the squash players go to Europe to learn the tricks of the trade?
So I think India does not have a very rich tradition of squash players. So I'm the highest ranked Indian ever in the
Yeah,
men's, uh,
yes.
and we don't have pedigree, so to say, in terms of like the coaches who have the knowledge to create top 10 PSA world players.
Mhm.
So you need to go to people who've done that, been there, done that, and train with people who are top 10 in the world. And me going to England, going to Malcolm Wilstrop, he's one of the best coaches in the world. He's trained 4 or 5 world number ones, training with world number ones like Lee Beachville, James Wilstrop. You get to see on a daily basis how good you need to be world number one. You can watch a million videos of matches of people training, but
Mm.
that education is invaluable. Seeing them warming up, seeing their mental
One
focus
to
in terms of
one. It's one to
one to
one
one.
in
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, up front, to understand
yeah.
that. Also, like with Malcolm telling me, in terms of like what shot to hit, how to hit it, he's telling me that's theory, but to actually see someone put it in practice as a demonstration, like a live demonstration, makes it so much more vivid. So I think that experience is something which I would recommend to anyone. Like the player I am today, the professional player I am today, has everything to do with my time that I spent in Pontiac with Malcolm and all the players that I trained over there with. I still go back there. I still miss it. And it's about finding the right fit for yourself. Malcolm Wilstrop was the right fit for me, but other people would have other coaches who would fit better for them. So I think it's important to do that to kind of get it until the point that India becomes a powerhouse and we have the pedigree ourselves. Which, like I said, hopefully it'll happen in the next few years.
Yes, true. And you were also the squash player to, reach the quarterfinals of the World Championship in 2013. Tell us your thoughts on that. How did that happen?
Yeah, the World Championships is something which is a big event for anyone in any sport, and no one had ever made the quarters. I made it in 2013. I'd probably say that in 2013 I probably wasn't ready for the quarterfinals of the World Championships. I think it happened. It was a one-off event where everything kind of put in place, everything came together, and it happened for me that week. I made the quarters again in 2019, last year in Chicago, and I think I was
Yeah.
a lot more ready for it in Chicago. And as a player, I think I'm a lot more ready to be top 8 in the world. Mixing with the best in the world on a consistent basis. But like I remember, making that quarters in 2013. I ended up playing actually someone ranked below me in the last 16, and I went two love down, Henrik Mustonen of Finland. And I remember telling myself that, man, how can you do this? Because I'd beaten the higher ranked players before, and now I'm playing a lower ranked player. And I'm like literally like spurning my chance to make the quarters over here. And I remember coming out of the second game and Malcolm speaking to me. It was in Manchester. Malcolm speaking to me, and I'm telling myself, man, just win one game, and you're winning this. And I won the third game. I scraped the third game, and I just knew then that yeah, this is happening. And I remember winning it, and I think that's the only time that I've ever hugged Malcolm, and Malcolm actually hugged me back. And after that, he told me that's the only time in your life you're ever going to be able to do that. So we'll remember that well.
And 2006, when you won the bronze medal, what about that?
I think that is, that's a historic medal for India because it's the
Yes.
first ever squash medal for India at the Asian Games. I was really young. I think I was like 21 or 20 or something, and I went in first time. That I thought that yes, I can win a medal for India. I'd been part of the 2002 Asian Games, but that was more like a getting to know the whole state of play almost.
Yeah.
And 2006, to make that semi-final and make get that bronze medal for India is, it's like I said, it's historic. It's
Exceptional. Yeah.
always going to be in my memory. It's something that I will always cherish. And it's something that you work towards a lot, and doing something for India at a big games like an Asian Games or a Commonwealth Games is something which is huge. And I think that medal kind of changed to a great extent the way squash was looked at by the non-squash public in India a little bit. So I
Yes.
think I can safely say that I was a major protagonist in that, and I'm happy that I was the one who did it. Of course, I really hope that I can add an individual gold to that bronze, because I have a silver. I was very close in 2014 when I had match
Yes.
ball, but that didn't quite happen. But hopefully that'll happen as well, because I have the team gold
Yes.
now. So hopefully the individual will
Yeah,
happen.
and gold and silver also in the Asian Games later on. That's also exceptional for you to.
Yeah, 2014 Asian Games is my
Yeah,
most memorable, 8 days of my life for sure.
yeah,
Like, to come, the individual event, I actually played really, really well. The final, I was 2-love up and I had match ball, but I ended up losing that match. It's one of those matches where I'd say like neither of us deserved to lose. I think both of us played really, really well, and
yeah,
it's just really sad for me that I had to end up on the winning side, on the losing side that day. But then,
yeah.
to come back in the team event, because I was devastated after that. Like, like I'd worked so
Mm.
hard for it, and I was devastated. But to come back for that team event, and I actually lost to Abdullah Muzain of Kuwait in the final of the individuals, and we ended up playing Kuwait in the semis of the team event, and
Mm.
I played him again, and this time I won in five. So it was like he took one and I took one, and we made the final. And when we played Malaysia in the final, we were not really supposed to win. Like, okay, I was supposed to be the one who was going to win, and then 2 and 3 was really hard for us on paper. But at number three, Harinder Sandhu played, in my opinion, the match of his life. I don't think he's played better than that ever. He went on first, and I remember warming up and coming into this, like I was warming up outside, coming into the stadium, and I'm seeing that he's up, and I'm thinking like, wow, we have a chance now, man. And then he lost the third game, and I'm like, Harry, don't, just win, man. And then he wins it, and then and then I remember I went 2-1 up in the next match against Ong Beng Heo, Malaysia, and I was spent because I'd been playing every day for 8 days, and I had had brutal matches through the week, and I was done. And I had match ball again in the fourth. And I had two actually, and I ended up losing that game. And in my head, I'm just going like, this is not happening again. Like, this this is just ridiculous. And coming out after the fourth game, like I was dead. Like I was struggling to like even when I was standing, like I could feel my legs burning because there was just
Oh my
nothing left in the
goodness.
tank. And I remember Harry, like he's my best friend in life, and all the coaches are telling me do this, do that, and blah blah. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I know what I need to do, but it's just not, the body's not responding here. I know in my mind what needs to happen, but I just don't know what to do. And Harry literally telling me, he's like, man, it's one game, man. Do something. Just do something. That's exactly what he told me. And I looked at him and I'm like, okay, man, let's see how this goes. And I remember that entire game, I was literally like, every time before I served or received serve, I was looking out at all my teammates, and I was literally telling myself, okay, man, just for these guys, just push 1 point, push, push. And it just so happened that I won 11-9 in the fifth. I mean, it couldn't have been closer.
Yeah.
And when I won, then I was just like, man, this is redemption. Everything that happened 4 days back, like, this is unbelievable. And it's also very sweet because for 4 or 5 years preceding the 2014 Asian Games, like as a team, we had come very close to winning, the Asian team event, and we didn't. Like, we had actually been match ball up in finals, 2-love up in finals, and we lost. And to actually end up doing it at the Asian Games against the run of play, so to say, because we weren't favorites on paper, and to do it, of course, with the individual final going the way it did for me, is definitely my most memorable moment in squash. And that's something that even today when I think about it, I'm like, wow, that was a great day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when your body is saying all burnt out and you're like, go, go, go for it, your mind is all prepared. Wonderful, beautifully done.
Thanks,
What
thanks.
about, what are your thoughts on Ritvik Bhattacharya? He was my classmate in college. Did you
Oh,
have
wow.
any? Yeah, we went to
No,
the
no,
same
no.
college together. No?
Right. Yeah, Ritvik. I mean, look, Ritvik is the one that has to be given credit for being the first proper professional player from India. no one did it before. There were players who were in on the world rankings, but no one did it like on a proper basis, traveling, living abroad, things like
Yeah.
that. So when I kind of finished my juniors and I was going into the senior ranks, like we were rivals in terms of on the Indian side, of the nationals and
Mm.
things like that. But
Yeah.
we ended up going to a lot of tournaments together on the PSA, on the world tour, and
Right.
he kind of showed me the ropes as how everything was working, and how the world tour works and things like that. And like that was very very helpful, because I could have been like absolutely lost because I would have been the only one on tour. But he was there for the first few years, and a lot of credit needs to go to him for kind of having the courage to do it all on his own
Yeah.
before all of us came along. Like I think I had I mean, I wouldn't say I had all the support in the world, but I definitely had more support than what he had when he started off. And
That's true.
I think Indian squash should be thankful to him for the part that he played in opening the doors almost to the professional
Yeah.
game to people like myself, and then through me to a lot more people now.
Yeah. So, how do you see this future coming along in squash? Have things improved? What are the next challenges that you see?
See, I think there is a lot of talent and there's a lot of potential in India right now in the junior ranks. But there's the difference between potential and potential realized. So I think making that transition from the juniors to the seniors is going to be the challenge. I think
Okay.
they need to be guided properly. Shown the right way to be doing it. And if they do, then they can carry on what we have started. I think in terms of what needs to be done, I think as players right now who are in the thick of things, it is our responsibility and our dream to achieve more, to push the envelope more, so that people get inspired more. I think
Mm.
on the admin side, we need to get into schools a little bit more, so that kids from a very young age get access to squash. Getting it on TV a little bit more in India is very very important, because TV is the best medium in reaching out to people who don't know the game that well. So I think these three things put together, if it can be done right, can be a major factor in taking the game to the next level in the country.
And also, I've been a national champion as well in basketball. But do you think it is time for Olympic sports to get a bigger share in the Indian market in terms of sponsorship? Because
Look, I
that's what
think
we get a little,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
look, I think all the sports, have their own unique characteristics, and you need to be very good at those characteristics to be able to achieve at the world level. So anyone who's achieving at the world level, whichever sport, deserves to, have the appreciation from sponsors and things like that. But unfortunately, we work in a market-oriented economy, so cricket obviously takes the lion's share of the pie, so to say. And I
Yeah,
think if we can get it more on TV, I think that's where you know sponsors will be more kind of enthusiastic about putting more money into other sports. I
mm,
would say that the landscape has changed in the right direction over the last few years, and hopefully that
right.
trend will continue. But we are still a long way off before having any sort of parity where the true value of a sportsman, regardless of their sport, is appreciated by the powers to be, so to say.
And what, according to you, is the biggest sporting moment in history of India? Like the biggest moment in sports,
I think the
which
biggest moment.
probably changed everything, just changed the whole landscape of things.
So I think it's a difficult question to answer. I think in terms of, I think it has to be in terms of like the different kind of spheres that we're talking about. So I
Yeah.
think sport in general, I think the 1983 World Cup win changed sport in India, changed cricket. It became a lot more commercial. So the 1983 World Cup changed that. I think Abhinav Bindra's gold in 2008 Beijing is the one which
Mhm.
kind of changed Olympic sport for India. I think now every time we go to the Olympics, we want to win an Olympic gold. We want more medals. I think that thirst is there. I think the intent is
Mhm.
there. So I think that intent is very important, and through that intent, we will have more results. Because before that, I feel like the intent wasn't as strong. I think also Sindhu's World Championship win last year is a big kind of uh, big landmark in Indian sport, because we have someone who's a world champion, and to win it the way she did shows that India can actually produce on the world stage, and it wasn't a one-off because she was there so close, a lot of times before that. So I think, in my opinion, those are the three most important kind of days in Indian sport in the recent past, since for the
Okay.
last maybe 50 years or so.
Okay. So, why, according to you, we didn't do well in 2018 Asian Games?
In the 2018 Asian Games,
Yeah.
see, look, I think what is important to understand is that, you know, um, sport has a lot of variables. When you're playing, you can prepare the best you can, and you can control the variables that you can control, but you can't control so many variables. So sometimes things don't kind of flow for you a little bit. So
Mm.
like, I mean, I'll give you my personal example. Like 2018, uh, I was playing better squash in 2018 than what I played in 2014, but I ended up losing in the semifinals in the individual event. But I got injured in my semi-final. I was 2 love up, and I did my abductor in the second game, and I couldn't really move after that properly with to the level that I needed to. So so all the other people, like, I'm sure all the athletes, they're on their own journey trying to be as good as they possibly can be, but sometimes things don't fall in place. So
Yeah.
taking Abhinav Bindra, for example, 2008
Right.
gold, shot 10 best shots of his
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
2016 shot really well. He was in very, very good shape in Rio,
Right.
but unfortunately came fourth. But he would tell you that that's one of his proudest, you know, shooting kind of series that he did in 2016 at Rio, with everything that he did and the way he prepared. Everything was
Mm.
top notch, but unfortunately for him, it did kind of fall in place. And so he could have easily won a gold in 2016 and not won the gold in 2008. So there are very, very fine margins, and I think when you're involved in sport at the highest level, you appreciate and understand those fine margins.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fault people who haven't played at the highest level to by that they're not understanding it, because they haven't been there. So for example, if I have to understand how the prime minister of this country is making decisions, I cannot understand and put myself in his position because I have never been prime minister. Same with the CEO of a company. So of course we can make our value judgments based on all the information that we think we have, but until you're
Yeah.
actually there, you don't know exactly what you're going through and how everything else is happening. So I think we kind of need to understand that. Of course, like, what is important is that we create structures which are robust enough to produce
Mm.
results on a consistent basis. So I think that's where India needs to get better. I think we rely a lot on individuals and their drive to be the best they can. I think we need to create robust structures and systems where the systems create champions rather than individuals creating champions themselves.
Right.
And that
Right.
is not an easy process. That takes time. I think other countries are ahead of us in that evolution of sport in the country, so to say. But that is like the trajectory in which the country needs to go in.
Right, and also that makes builds a lot of pressure on individuals to get that sort of winning,
For sure,
and as
like,
you said,
yeah, I think it's everything puts together. Uh, the more robust a system, the more number of quality players you have. And when you have more number of quality players, they push, your the other players. Everyone gets better at the same time. So when you
yeah,
look at the countries which are very, very good in each particular sport, you see that
yeah,
there are so many of them in a particular sport. So you have middle distance running, you have Kenya.
right, yeah,
Sprinting, you have Jamaica. You
yeah,
have in cricket India, because we have so many.
yeah,
In soccer, you have Brazil traditionally, because they have so many people doing it. So I think that it's
And
through
Spain as
systems
well.
and structure.
Soccer is very good in
Yeah,
Spain. Yeah.
exactly. So there are so many, but these are born out of systems and structures, not out of individual kind of uh, drives or things like
Focus,
that.
actually.
Of course,
Yeah.
you will have individuals who will go on to become world champions. But to
Right.
create systems, you need to have someone who's a world champion, someone who's five in the world, someone who's seven in
Right.
the world, someone who's 12 in the world, someone who's
Yeah.
25 in the world, and that's how you
Right.
create structure.
That's true. That's so well said. And so, your top five sports people from India, who would you say?
Oh, you're putting me in
Top
a
five.
very, very tough spot.
Okay,
um,
top 10. If it's tough, I'll make it easier for
Well,
you.
we'll go one by one. I hope I don't miss out people. um, I'd say, so people could have retired, right? So anyone, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Abhinav Bindra,
Okay.
PV Sindhu, um, Sachin, because I'm a big Sachin fan.
Okay.
Uh, I think Saina Nehwal, because she was world number one first. I think she did very, very well.
Yes.
Kidambi Srikanth as well. I think he's a forgotten person because he made world number one, and a lot of people don't know that. So him as well.
Okay.
Um,
You mentioned 1983. Are you forgetting somebody from there who
no,
got
no,
through
no.
the
I
World
know,
Cup?
I know, I know, I know. I was, I see it. I already have that in my head, so I'm just trying to think of other people who I
Yeah.
might be forgetting. PT Usha,
Yes,
uh,
definitely.
PT Usha,
Yeah.
Kapil Dev, and MS Dhoni for being the World Cup winning captains. Brilliant.
Hmm.
I think Rajavardhan Rathore as well for the silver medal in Athens. I think that's a big
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I think Sushil Kumar for winning
Mm.
two Olympic medals. No one else has done that, as far
Yeah.
as I know.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I think I'm covering whoever I might
What
be
about
missing a few.
Rishi Anand?
Vishwanathan
Chess.
Anand.
Yeah.
Vishwanathan. Sorry,
Yeah.
Vishwanathan Anand. That was my
And
last one.
Leander
Vishwanathan
Pace.
Anand.
What about Leander Pace?
Man,
Oh my
see,
God, there's so many.
I'm missing people out. They're too. It's tough. You had to let me prepare for this. But no, Leander as well. Like they're all top people, man. Like Leander for winning the first Olympic medal in 44 years, individual Olympic medal in 44 years, doing it in a
Yeah,
sport like tennis, which is
exactly.
completely a worldwide global sport, is brilliant,
Mm.
and the way he did it as well is unbelievable. So yeah, like I said, I'm sure I'm missing a few other people out as well, and I'm really sorry. But I have you in my mind somewhere.
Too sweet. So, if you weren't playing squash, what would you be doing as a profession?
I think I would like to be associated with sports, so maybe something entrepreneurial to do with sport. Creating, maybe academies, tournaments, events, structures to help kids become better. Or
Yeah.
maybe I would have been an investment banker because I did economics and management. I do
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I'd say those two are the most
You're
likely
good with numbers.
things that
That means
I'm decent.
okay. It's great. And one untold story that you would like to share on SK Live that you would want the audience to know.
It's untold for a reason, so it's not going
Yes,
to be
of
told.
course it is untold, but if you would like to tell us, which is inspiring, and will, do what you would be doing for younger generation or older, you know.
I think the most inspiring thing is the one that we spoke about, regarding the Asian Games Team Gold. I think I've never gone so deep into the well, so to say, and come back up, survived, and done something of that magnitude. I think there are different points in your career that, when you feel that, you don't have anything more to give. And sometimes you come out of it, using your head, and sometimes you just doesn't happen. And
Mhm.
for me to do it again, on that platform on a day like that, and to kind of bring it home for India, having the Indian national anthem playing, for squash. The only time it ever has, at the Asian Games for squash, is the biggest thing that I could have done on that day. And I know, deep down, like, I can't describe how dead I was that day, like mentally, physically, like everything was done. Like I did not have
Mm.
anything else. I remember after that match, like for a week, like like I couldn't even celebrate. Like I was just gone. I was finished.
Mm.
And for me to come back and do that and win that match is big. And I think that just shows to me and hopefully to everyone else that when you really wanted that bad, there's always a little bit more that you can tap into. And somehow you need to find a way to kind of tap into that reserve, because the human body and the human mind will surprise you in a lot of ways when you least expect it to. So have that hope that a pleasant surprise will be on the way sometimes. And when they say that no one's ever won or lost until the fat lady sings. it's
Yeah.
it's true, because
Yeah.
the truth is that if you just hang in there, you just keep hanging in there, you never know, at some point before it all ends, you might get that reserve to come back for you. And that might change the entire match for you. And that's why you see so many great comebacks in sport. And that, I think, that's what makes sport so brilliant, because it plays out in front of so many people. And it shows people that if you have hope, if you believe that something might happen, that a lot can happen. And I think in times like this especially, I think that is the most inspiration you can take, because a lot of times you might feel that we're in a hopeless situation, but always remember that there's something better to come at some point in time, as long as you hang in there with integrity and honesty.
So well said. So when you are playing your game, do you use your head or your heart? Do you use your
uh,
mind or your heart?
I'd probably say for most part I use my head, because I think I need to kind of execute what I've planned to do, and need to outmaneuver my opponents. But there are points where like 2014 Asian Games, where the mind
Yes.
is done, or the mind is telling you what to do but the body is not responding. Then you need to
Right.
go with the heart. And because the heart gives you this
That little
energy
voice
that,
comes, that little voice
yeah,
comes that you can do it. So do you listen to that
exactly.
voice?
Yeah, so and it gives you energy that you can't describe, and it's
Yeah.
energy that you can't kind of create yourself, almost from a thought process. It just
Right.
happens, and that
It
comes
happens.
from emotion and feeling, and that comes from the
Yeah.
heart. So
Yeah.
it's important that your heart is all in it. But when
Yes.
everything is at a level, then you need to use your mind so that your emotions don't take over you. But when everything is done, then maybe using your heart, because you need the emotion to carry you through. So it's a question of situation and circumstance, I guess.
So you do listen to your heart as well, which is great.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. Thank you. Thank you so much for being on SK Live. Thank you for your time. It has been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot, and I hope everyone stays safe. And hopefully, we'll be doing more live interviews properly soon, when everything is good.
Yes, I know. I hope so too. And all the best for your future endeavors, for your games, and your practices also.
Thank you so much, and take care of yourself. See you.
Take
Bye.
care. Be safe. Bye.